another Apple device that was being thrown away. Have I been stockpiling these for a while? The answer to that is of course yes. This one here also appears to have a matte display. It may even be one of those super cool high resolution ones that could have been optioned back when this was brand new. Does it work? I actually don't know, so I think it's time we power it up and find out.
You really don't see too many MacBooks with the matte display option, as it was an added cost when this laptop was originally sold by Apple. It will definitely need a good cleaning as well, as it's seen a fair amount of use. The port selection also suggests that this is a 2010 or older device since there is no Thunderbolt connector. So it's definitely time to see if it still works at all. With a charger connected, it made the boot chime and does turn on, booting into Linux. I really wasn't expecting that. The previous owner must have been fairly tech savvy to be using this operating system. I also thought I would check to see if there was macOS installed as well. Holding down the option key showed no HFS or APFS volumes. With a little bit of eucalyptus oil and a damp cloth, I gently wiped down the Mac. Underneath, it wasn't bad at all. The matte display surface wouldn't be as durable as the glossy glass surface on regular MacBook Pros from the time, but while this device clearly saw a lot of use, it was also taken care of pretty well. I've definitely come across far worse Macs, with many more dents and damage you could say. So the MacBook does actually work, so let's try to install a macOS operating system. To get the display to the default brightness and volume level, I held down the buttons Command, Option, P and R, which resets the PRAM. I'm honestly very surprised just how bright the display is. I'm hoping it may be one of those high-resolution matte displays. For some reason the installer didn't actually work, even after multiple attempts. But I've got plenty of others to choose from though. Surely something as old as macOS Lion will work without issue. The ancient installer USB I created many years ago is thankfully detected. It installed without any issue. Now we can see exactly what this MacBook Pro is. Oh, sadly it's a 2009 Core 2 Duo model with the base model graphics processor and no high resolution display. And with over 1,000 battery cycles, the battery is cooked. Mentioning that you should replace it now.
While the battery in this MacBook Pro doesn't last all that long anymore, you could extend it and power lots of other devices with EcoFlow's new River 3 UPS. With a switchover time of less than 10 milliseconds, you can keep your mission-critical devices powered and running during a blackout or an emergency.
The River 3 UPS is more than just a UPS.
Not only does it have a 300-watt pure sine wave inverter, with boosts of up to 600 watts, you've also got a 12-volt output, as well as 100-watt USB Type-C and 2 USB Type-A outputs to choose from, all of which can be powered simultaneously. Charge it using AC power, solar, or even the 12-volt output from your car.
The charging rates can be controlled through the EcoFlow app, which is super convenient.
All of these features in a small and compact design mean it's a great starter battery for home use as well as when you're outdoors.
For a power station so small, it packs a 245 watt-hour capacity, using lithium iron phosphate battery technology for an enhanced lifespan and a greater level of safety.
EcoFlow backs the River 3 with a 2-year warranty. It's built tough, so why not grab one today? Find out more in the links below.
You'll also find the River 3 and many more EcoFlow products offline at leading retailers here in Australia. EcoFlow are also giving away one of these River 3 UPS power stations. To enter, simply comment on this video with the hashtag EcoFlowAustralia. The full terms and conditions are listed below in the pinned comment. I think it's time to upgrade this Mac, pulling RAM from my very own 2012 15-inch MacBook Pro, which has 8GB of RAM, but I happen to have 16GB just lying around, and I haven't opened this thing for about 5 years. So how dusty is it? Oh, it's actually very clean inside still. The 8GB of RAM in here might run in the other MacBook Pro, even though this is much faster DDR3 memory. This MacBook Pro will finally have the maximum 16GB of RAM it's so desperately desired. First of all, does it actually work with this RAM? I'll find out before I screw it back together. Fingers crossed. We've got a boot chime and it does still work. My photo editing MacBook Pro now has double the memory, and one day I'll have to put a larger SSD in as well. The 8GB of RAM out of my 2012 MacBook Pro will be going in the 2009 model here, along with a new SSD. Given that the screws have no signs of wear, I do believe there's a chance this MacBook Pro has never been opened before. And to get into one of these, all you'll need is a small Phillips head screwdriver, and there are 3 long screws at the rear. Well, it doesn't look all that bad. I was honestly expecting more dust. Here it states the CPU speed, as well as the fact it has a 256MB GPU version. For a laptop with over 1000 battery cycles, the fans honestly don't look clogged with dust. Although I did notice that the hard disk was made in September of 2011, so it must have been replaced at some point. Now out comes the two 2GB sticks of memory. This machine can accept a maximum of 8, and while 1000 battery cycles is definitely a lot and past the design life of such a battery, my 2012 MacBook Pro, for example, is still running great with over 1500 cycles used. I will try replacing this with a better one if I can find one in my garage. Replacing this slow mechanical storage with a modern SSD, even a cheap one, will greatly improve the responsiveness and load times. Clearing out these fans will also help lower the temperatures, although these Macs notoriously ran pretty hot even when new, and some users opted to drill holes in the casing. Is there a carpet forming in the air vents? Well, not really. There was definitely still a lot of airflow getting through there. Next, I gave the internals a brush before I dug in further. I didn't bother following a tutorial since I've taken apart a heap of these Macs before. The iFixit website would definitely be quite useful if you weren't as confident. And just like the iMac I cleaned up in my last video, there are a lot of connectors to remove, and a total of 7 Torx T6 screws holding the logic board in place. Definitely keep the various screws organized for an easy reassembly later on, and when lifting up on the board, be sure none of the connectors are snagged along the edges. You might also find that the cooling pipes underneath have melted to the keyboard backlight, and now we can see where some of that dust had been hiding. Here is the somewhat inadequate cooling system, and as I said before, these ran quite hot, so a fresh application of thermal compound is a good thing to apply. To provide even tension across the die surfaces, Apple used screws with little springs on them, one of which has this little bit of rubber on the end. Perhaps this is a warranty void sticker of sorts. And also be sure not to drop the springs, they will bounce pretty far from my experience. Alright, how's that thermal paste looking then? Well, I'd say it's definitely original, and while it is a bit crumbly, I've seen far worse, often resembling dust more than paste at this age. Did Apple apply this much thermal paste from the factory? I mean, I guess it's possible, and after a wipe with isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip, the surface looked a whole lot cleaner. I really love it when it all comes off in one big chunk. Also, try to avoid getting this on your hands, it's pretty hard to get off. The high temperatures were particularly troublesome in the 2011 15-inch MacBook Pros, with many of the AMD graphics chips failing and or partially detaching from the logic board itself, and as far as I know, most of the 2009 models were pretty solid, even though they did run hot. Now the heatsink can be lined up and put back on. I began putting the screws in very loosely, just so that they would all line up, and once they were all in, I tightened opposing screws to introduce even pressure to the newly applied paste. The rest of the casing could also do with a clean out. Often you'll see gunk on the bottom casing if someone has spilt liquid into their MacBook Pro. Definitely no signs of liquid damage here though, only many years of normal operation. The dual fans are also easy to open up, so it's worth giving them a dust out. While they weren't clogged, they still look much better now, and I also removed some of the gunk that had built up in the portholes. All of the dead skin in this groove suggests it was frequently used on someone's lap. How nice! I also found a battery I can salvage from a Mac I covered many years ago. I wrote the words "battery good" on the casing, so hopefully that is still the case. Now the reassembly can begin, and once you're familiar with these models, they are a joy to work on. It is a shame that modern MacBooks have no user replaceable parts such as RAM and hard drives. But thankfully, even something as old as this 2009 model Mac can be rejuvenated with relative ease. With the new RAM and hard disk installed, does it work? We are getting 3 beeps, suggesting a RAM-related issue. I did reseat both sticks to rule out a connection issue, but still it wouldn't work with this RAM. I don't have any other 4GB sticks that would work with this Mac, so I combined one of the slower 2GB RAM sticks that was originally in here to see if it would still boot. This trick has worked for me before, and once again it turns on, with only 6GB of RAM in total. I quickly installed macOS, and once again, yes, the system does detect the extra RAM. Sadly, I can't run the full 8GB. And the new battery I salvaged is also in excellent condition, almost like new thankfully. Time for a slightly more modern version of macOS, Catalina 10.15. I'm using the DOS-Dude 1 patcher to achieve this, and I know you can patch even the latest version of macOS onto here, but for the sake of testing this laptop, 10.15 will do fine. Now, I'm very curious to see just how good that matte display in this MacBook is. If you're doing any color sensitive work, it is definitely worth calibrating your display. The results will also tell you the peak brightness and how well it can display various color spaces. This 15-year-old panel has a respectable 315 nits of brightness and decent sRGB gamut coverage. Even after a lot of use, the keyboard is still great to type on. Apple really made these MacBooks great for typing. The trackpad is also very usable. You know it's a good pad when you don't feel the need to use an external mouse. For some reason, the laptop wouldn't automatically switch to the dedicated 9600M GT graphics processor, but after manually selecting it, it is now enabled. With the dedicated graphics chip now enabled, how does it run light games? Well, the latest version of Minecraft, alongside the Optifine mod, is totally playable, very impressive on such old hardware. Old school RuneScape is another classic game I love to revisit. It's been around 18 years since I first played RuneScape. I do feel old right now, that's for sure.
So I just picked up
1080p YouTube playback and everyday web browsing is absolutely fine. The addition of yet more RAM would increase the amount of tabs you could have open, that's for sure. I do envy the amount of connectivity old laptops like this have. There's really no need to use a dock or an assortment of dongles. The inclusion of a backlit keyboard really makes these MacBook Pros still feel like premium devices. And I do wish Apple laptops still had the light up Apple logo on the back as well. The users who paid slightly more for the matte display definitely got their money's worth. Going back to a normal glossy display was pretty hard, but the fairly weak performance of this 2009 model means I'll be sticking with my 2012 15-inch model for photo editing. But at least I've given this discarded old Mac another chance at life.
I've never actually owned an Apple MacBook Pro with a matte display, but sadly it wasn't one of the high resolution ones. I always remember wanting one of these MacBook Pros back in 2009. Man, am I feeling old, because that was like about 16 years ago. Anyway, I now have one of these in my collection. Thanks for watching, and I hope to get more videos out to you real soon. Have a good one.